never get to see. The silent struggles, the nights filled with doubt, the crossroads where giving up feels easier than pushing forward. And for Kim Tae-oh, that moment almost changed everything. If you're watching this right now, you probably know him as the rising face lighting up your screen. The charm, the intensity, the performances that feel so real they almost hurt. But what if I told you that behind all of that was a version of Kim Tae-oh who nearly walked away from acting forever? Yes, before the fame, before the recognition, before the fans, there was a breaking point. Let's rewind. Picture a young Kim Tae-oh, filled with dreams but surrounded by uncertainty. Acting wasn't just a career choice for him, it was a calling. But as many aspiring actors quickly learn, passion alone isn't enough in an industry as competitive as South Korea's entertainment scene. Auditions came and went. Opportunities appeared, then disappeared just as quickly. And rejection? That became a constant companion. Now, let me ask you something. How many rejections do you think someone can take before they start doubting themselves? For Kim Tae-oh, it wasn't just about hearing no. It was about what those no's slowly began to do to his confidence. Each failed audition chipped away at his belief. Each silence after a casting call made him question if he was even meant for this path. There were days he would stand in front of the mirror and ask himself, am I really good enough? And maybe you've asked yourself that too at some point in your life. What makes his story even more intense is that while others saw the glamour of acting, he was living the reality behind it. The financial pressure, the emotional exhaustion, the loneliness that comes from chasing a dream not everyone understands. At one point, things got so difficult that he began to consider a completely different life. Not acting, not auditions, just a normal, stable job. Imagine that for a second. The actor you admire today, almost becoming someone you would have never known. He started distancing himself from the industry. Calls became fewer, not just from casting directors, but from him reaching out. The fire that once drove him began to fade. And then came the moment. That one quiet night where everything felt heavier than usual. No spotlight, no applause, just thoughts. He questioned everything, his choices, his sacrifices, even his identity. Was this dream worth it? Was all this struggle leading anywhere? Or was he simply chasing something that was never meant to be his? It's in moments like this that people make life-changing decisions. Some quit, some push forward. But before Kim Tae-oh could decide, something unexpected happened. A small opportunity, one that most people might have overlooked. It wasn't a lead role. It wasn't glamorous. In fact, it was barely noticeable. But for him, it was different. Because this time, instead of focusing on how big the role was, he focused on how much it meant. He showed up differently. Not desperate, not anxious, just present. And that changed everything. The performance he gave in that small role didn't go viral overnight. It didn't suddenly make him famous. But it did something far more important. It reminded him why he started. And sometimes that's all it takes. A reminder, a spark, a moment that pulls you back from the edge of giving up. From there, things didn't magically become easy. Let's be real, success stories are never that simple. But something had shifted inside him. His mindset. Instead of seeing rejection as failure, he started seeing it as part of the process. Instead of chasing validation, he focused on growth. And slowly, very slowly, the industry began to notice. Casting directors who once overlooked him started remembering his name. Directors began to see depth in his performances. And fans, yes, people like you, started connecting with the authenticity he brought to every role. But here's the part that makes his story truly powerful. Even as opportunities grew, the memory of that almost quit moment never left him. It stayed with him as a reminder of how close he came to walking away. And maybe that's why his performances feel so real, because he knows what it's like to lose everything before gaining anything. Now let me ask you another question. What if he had quit? What if that night had ended differently? No breakthrough, no rising star, no Kim Tae-oh as we know him today. It's crazy to think about, right? And yet, that's the reality for so many dreams that never get a second chance. His story isn't just about success, it's about resilience. It's about standing at the edge of giving up and choosing somehow to stay. And let's be honest, we all have our own versions of that moment. Maybe not in acting, maybe not in the spotlight, but in something that matters deeply to us. A dream, a goal, a path that feels uncertain. And just like him, we reach a point where quitting feels like the only option. But what if, just like Kim Tae-oh, the breakthrough is closer than it seems? What if that one small opportunity, that one moment of clarity, is waiting right after the moment you feel like giving up? That's what makes this story so powerful. It's not just about his rise to fame, it's about the unseen battle that came before it. Today, when you see Kim Tae-oh on screen, confident, captivating, seemingly unstoppable, it's easy to forget the version of him who almost walked away. But maybe that's the version we should remember the most, because that's where the real story lives. So the next time you feel stuck, the next time you question your path, the next time you think about giving up, think about this. Somewhere between almost quitting and refusing to give up is where everything changes. And for Kim Tae-oh, that's exactly where his story began.